So, hi everybody. Nice to see
Hello.
you. I was on a panel with Peacefire, the Peacefire organized. I was on a panel
Nice.
with Raptor. I just can't remember what we were doing. Was that a stoner
It
cast?
was a it was a little while ago.
It was.
I also forgot.
And I have yet to be on a panel with Cosme, but we have been running in the same circles for quite some time, so it's nice to be on a panel with
Yeah.
y'all. And I thank y'all for coming and doing this with me. I think that
No
this is
problemo.
good stuff. I think I think that the subject matter we're going to tackle today is an important thing. And again, shout out for Redolent Thought for really lighting the fire under my ass to make this kind of conversations happen. We did a previous one last month. This is the second one, and I hope to continue to do it. Do y'all want to invite or introduce yourself to all the other people?
Yeah, I'll go first. Hello, my name is Christina, aka Cosmopolitics. I stream politics and pop culture from a left wing perspective. I also am a host on this space on YouTube, which is a leftist working class media collective. We're working to expand and make it possibly 24/7. On Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, I host a little show called Christina's Corner. And on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, I am also a host of Movie Night Extravaganza. We've had a lot of awesome people on there, like director Adam McKay, Sam Cedar, Michael Lehman. It's been so much fun. And yeah, you can check me out usually is at Tuesday afternoons on over on the space and also on Twitch at twitch.tv/cosmopolitics.
Nice. Who wants to go next?
I am getting the rest of my stuff squared away, so give me 1 second.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Hi, I'm Peacefire. You can call me Ahead, PFN, Peacefire. It don't matter. My favorite part of streaming is connecting with everybody here and finding communities where we can connect and build bridges. And I have been very fortunate enough to have everybody on this panel except for Christina. Christina keeps eluding me, but we're fixing that right now, being on
Yes.
the panel together. In terms of what kind of content I cover, it's all about the intersectionality of our struggles over where we are at. I try to cover the news. Sometimes I like to think I'm a variety streamer. Sometimes I'm cooking. Sometimes I'm doing news. Sometimes we're listening to music. You don't know what to expect, but generally, what I like to tell people is that you can always expect to be seen in our community, that it is a safe community where your struggles is our struggles and we lift each other up. And so that's what we try to do. Where on my end of the Twitch universe. But like I said, I am a big fan of everybody on this panel. And so was very, very, very happy and excited to see Globus doing this and inviting me for episode 2. So appreciate all of you.
Awesome. I guess I'll go next. Hey, I'm Raptor Blue. You are you. I am a Black radical streamer. We cover a lot of rot. We don't do a whole lot of news. We do some Pacific Northwest news, especially on my side of things. We do a lot more what I call rotucation, where we debunk right-wing talking points, especially racism. We do a lot of gaming on my side. We talk about themes in gaming, especially from a Black perspective. And we do some occasional tabletop gaming, where I nerd out because that is exactly the type of person that I am. I am also a voice actor on the side, and I am a community inclusion specialist. So really everything that I cover is effectively work. I never stop.
Yeah. Can't stop, won't stop.
Focus my game.
And I'm Globus the Elder. I talk about AI, automation, robots, and future tech. I try to give people the education that they need to understand what's actually happening as opposed to all the talking points given by people with various agendas around AI. So you should definitely come check me out because it's what I do. My schedule, I no longer have a schedule because I work an actual job and that's a pain in the ass, but I feed people in a hospital, so it has tremendous amounts of value for me. I like the fact that I can you know, make some money while at the same time doing something I think that's important. And I get to see these patients who sometimes don't get to see other human beings other than nurses and doctors.
Just before we start, is my camera all right? I'm seeing in chat that it's very blurry.
You're
It's
very
Yeah.
pixelated.
yes.
Yeah.
You
Very
might need
pixelated.
to close your. You might need to leave and come back, like
Okay.
Raptor and Cosme did, and that might fix the problem. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Sure, I can do that. Um,
Caught in the total of 3 pixels. 3 pixels.
is that any better by any ways?
Nope, it looks
No.
No.
exactly the same.
You might have to actually leave the call and then rejoin.
Okay, let's try that. Uh,
I had to do it in the first place, so it's okay.
Yeah,
He
me
has to
too. I mean,
join. He
my
has to
camera wasn't.
join.
Man.
I had to
Ooh.
deactivate my camera on my OBS, and then it picked up, and now you guys can see my
Look at
room.
this.
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
now you
is
look
that better?
great.
That's much better.
Significantly better.
Ah, amazing! I love it when I can, muster more pixels. So, yeah,
Yeah. So
apologies for the delay there. I'll let you get back to it,
also
Globus.
Oh,
thank you for the compliments on my name. It's actually based on Michael Brooks's book, friend of mine,
Oh,
R.I.P. Yeah, that's where I got the name Cosmopolitics from.
nice. Okay,
Amazing.
so this stream, this panel is about propaganda in the non-pejorative sense. I think that propaganda is a fine word to use. I think that it denotes trying to use language and arguments to convince people of your position. In other formats, it's marketing, it's what have you. Lenin, for those of you of the communist bent, was a fan of propaganda. So are most of your favorite leftists who like did revolutions and whatnot. They understand the value. Um, I think that leftists are not particularly good in this day and age, especially online, at propaganda. And the purpose of this is to have discussions around that and to maybe provide some lessons of how we can get better at getting our messaging across. Like, what can we take advantage of in that regard? Today's panel is specifically related to, given recently the electoral victory by Zoran Mamdani, who used the cultural myth of the typical New Yorker as part of a fundamental of their campaign, and the No Kings protests, which used American patriotic symbolism alongside their rejection of the current administration. Both of these were, effective to an extent. Obviously, Mamdani winning is not going to, bring forth the revolution, and the No Kings protest had some impact, and we'll see how much impact over the course, but it wasn't also going to lead to the revolution. Everyone on this panel is some facet of leftist or leftist adjacent. We all believe in anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, but we all believe in resource distribution that ensures housing, food, medical care to all. Um, any suggestions made by this panel on how you can improve your rhetoric or your propaganda are strictly voluntary on your part. No one is no one is stating that you have to do anything. It's all voluntary. We want people to do what they want to do in whatever capacity they have to do it. And no one is in any way at any point in time suggesting that marginalized groups have to be a vanguard or they have to step to the front of the line and do something, due to the historical issues with liberals and that kind of behavior. None of that is happening. Is all that fair for everyone?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
works for me.
Excellent.
Yep.
So, uniting cultural myths. This is a concept, is something that the right wing in this country, I think, does particularly well, particularly effectively, right? Like the idea of the American flag, the stars and stripes forever, gives them something to focus around. That even though they have some disagreements on whatever, they can unite around that Fourth of July barbecue, Bud Light, and the American flag.
Springsteen.
Springsteen, even if they don't get Springsteen. I starting with Cosme, do you think that leftists can create a uniting cultural myth, and should we?
I actually think so. In a post 9/11 world, it does seem like the faux patriotism is really something that's hijacked our country since after 9/11. And to me, it just feels like the left hasn't really grasped onto the fact that you could possibly be patriotic in your own way, but in the end, we also know that there's really nothing to really be proud of in this day and age when it comes to being an American. That's definitely something that we have to work on because of the fact that the GOP has spent decades upon decades trying to like foster like this type of like patriotism that's like we'll stick a Buddha in your ass if you're anti-American or whatnot. But I mean, we don't have the luxury that the right has, which is like think tanks, billionaires, people who come up with every election cycle the next like big thing to like fear monger about, unfortunately. And I wish George Soros did have that influence, but he does not. I'm sorry.
Raptor?
Ooh, okay. I'm immediately to push back here.
Ooh.
I'm going to say no. And it's not because I don't believe that we're not able to. It's that it's because a lot of these mythologizing, for example, is based in white supremacist rhetoric. The people
Hmm.
who buy into these mythologies are typically going to be white people who believe that once they get the white picket fence, once they get the house, once they get, 2.5 kids, that they are going to be complete in whatever aspect of their life, instead of what genuinely brings joy to people, what genuinely has people feel complete, is a sense of community, being able to put themselves in community, being able to work amongst like fellow workers. Honestly, I'll use a dead white man's phrase here. Workers unite. Um, all that. The idea of that is scary because we are the product of over 50 years of Red Scare propaganda. At least white people are.
Hmm.
uh, Amongst people of color and marginalized folks, you have a different sort of element to it. And what we're going to have to do to build that kind of mythology is going to need to be things that are celebrating, like we do in marginalized communities, this self within community, and how we are uplifting ourselves, or how the community also uplifts us in this way. So it's pushing back against the great man, which happens a lot in these other mythologies like Fourth of July, where we believe, George Washington won the war instead of all his generals, instead of all the soldiers who put themselves out there um, to push back the British, and needing to go like, yeah, we are friends, we're families. These workers are doing what needs to be done.
I want to get back to that, but before I do, Peacefire, what would you say?
Yes. Well, I mean, I see what Raptor is saying, but my pushback is that, we kind of have to define what unity is, because there's a lot of myths that surround unity itself, right? People believe that like unity requires everyone to be in agreement, where I think about it more as people need to have mutual respect and acceptance of one another. And if you cannot do that, then you cannot be in the tent, right? And so we can unify around ideas and values and principles. But if there isn't an underlying level of respect for everyone who is together, well, then we do not need to build community with those people, because fundamentally, they are never going to be open to hearing or accepting the people in the tent. And we shouldn't be trying to put them on a pedestal to bring them into the tent. And so that's kind of like my take on it, and
Mhm.
just to add to what Raptor was saying there.
Yeah,
And
no
that's
Ezra Klein.
Yeah.
and
No,
that's
this is what a Big Ten party gets you, you know?
Yeah, no tolerance of intolerance here, okay?
and
Mhm.
that's why I wanted to clarify. I may have sent us down a wrong direction, wrong path, because I used, for instance, 4th of July, but I wasn't necessarily referring to like the mythology of America when I was, bringing the Marxists, for instance, the Marxist Leninists, they have a certain mythology around Lenin, Marx, maybe Mao, maybe Uncle Ho, whatnot, that allows them to unify around certain, presuppositions. So, is it possible, Raptor, to have, culture, is community a culturally unifying myth?
I'm gonna steal from what Jimmy Bean said. It is consensus, not unity.
Mm-hmm.
So when Fred Hampton, for example, was forming the Black Panther Party, it was never about venerating Fred Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
It was about venerating the community, coming together and learning, understanding the systemic issues that were against us. The idea that we need to worship a white dude is inherently antithetical to someone like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, these ideas that only a white person can come up with, quote unquote, like this great man can come up with, is going to be inherently antithetical to any unifying theory.
Mm-hmm.
What we should be doing is we should be venerating both ourselves and the consensus that we built, the people that we have around us, our family, and the tribe that comes from that, the community that comes from that.
Now, it's possible maybe unity and mythology aren't, the correct words to discuss the point, and maybe that
Yeah,
is the
I might
same
be getting
thing.
stuck on
And it's
the
it's just
semantics of it.
it's totally cool. We
Typical
like
left leaners.
the and definitely not centering any particular white guy as the focus, right? Like, more the idea of, and anybody can jump in, is the idea of something bigger than ourselves, right? Again, the American mythology is flawed. It's not, it doesn't necessarily connect with reality. However, the mythology itself does give people something to believe in and work together towards. Does that make sense?
It does, and
Yeah,
that's
if
why
I
I've been.
may.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Mhm.
I've
no,
been
I
yapping,
just
so
want.
please.
No worries. It's just, since we're talking about this cultural myth and you keep bringing up the 4th of July, I think we should bring it back to something that's a little more time sensitive, that, elaborates a little bit further on what you're saying, Globus. Where, last I checked, Thanksgiving is happening around, or is around the corner where
Mm-hmm.
you're at,
Yep.
right? And there's
Hmm.
another
Hmm.
example of a cultural myth that was established by, I think it was Abraham Lincoln, and that basically created this myth that there was unity. And all of that was to hide the genocide that was taking place and
That
to
occurred,
whitewash that
yeah.
history, right?
Mhm.
And so, I think for myself, do we need to create a myth? No, I think what we need to do is work more on messaging in terms of you saw, never in my life did I think Mamdani would or I'd see a Muslim win anything in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Hmm.
live with post 9/11 scars. And so I never thought, hey, that's going to change, but it is possible. And the reason it was possible was because you hit on one issue that affects everyone and you build around that and you build unity from it. It doesn't need a myth to bring us together. It needs somebody who speaks to the struggles we are dealing with because there are so many universal struggles out there that we could unite around. And it doesn't mean I have to agree with any of you, right? It just
Yeah.
means that if I can't afford to live and you can't afford to live, maybe we should focus on why that is and get together on fighting back against that.
Yeah,
That's my
it's
2 cents on it.
Mhm.
it's like addressing material conditions, which is like the baseline of any big leftist movement is addressing the material conditions that surround people and building off of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Globus, at the end of the day, if we're talking myth here, for a myth to be believed, there must be trust. And at this point of time, no one trusts either political party,
Oh,
right?
sure.
We are looking for outsiders. And so if you tried to come to me as the Democratic Party or as the left and present a myth to me, it's not like you establish trust. It's not like I'm going to believe in said myth when I know the reality on the ground runs counter to any myth you try to put out there.
Yeah, and there are civil wars within both parties right
Mhm.
now when it comes to, where should the Democratic Party go, and in regards to the Republican Party, do we protect Trump in regards to Epstein? Like that's a whole other. But like in both,
No.
no one can trust both parties, but it's
People having that
clear
question.
that yeah, like it. I mean, people. I mean, the new talking point now is that they technically were barely legal and it wasn't pedophilia, but whatever.
Oh, it's like the
So
FIBA shit. Sorry, I'm
yeah,
whatever.
that right. So,
Oh,
oh my
why
god.
don't you show your
But
ass some more? We're just not talking that kind of
yeah,
talk, right?
exactly. So yeah, I mean, it really goes to show that people are looking for, it's been it has taken forever for the millennials to have their moment in politics. So we thought that it would happen with Obama technically, but he was a bit of a disappointment. We thought, the DNC kind of screwed over Bernie twice, and we thought with the squad, but again, the Democratic Party does not want to groom future leaders. They rather, be in office until they have Alzheimer's and die. You know, Republicans, they do groom future leaders, but we don't know what's going to happen when Trump is gone, because there's really no one who can match that, whatever it is that he has that attracts people. It's very cult of personality. But with the Democratic Party, they have the opportunity. They were doing so well. I mean, who wins in an off year election cycle like this majorly? Usually people care about the 2024, 2022, 2026, the even years. And then they squandered it because of moderates a few days later, you know?
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
just, it's where we go from here.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, and ultimately that's my point. And to speak to like again to Mamdani, I think that he did because the idea of the and again, maybe myth is the wrong word because I definitely see people in chat. I'm not necessarily saying that we need to come up with a new myth, and I'm not necessarily saying that myth is the right word, right? Like, I'm speaking more about the concept as a thing. Mamdani tapped into the idea of the
Like a rallying
mythological,
point.
right, but the mythological New Yorker, right? Like the mythological New Yorker could be a white dude, a black dude, Muslim, a Pakistani, an immigrant, Irish, whatever, right? Whatever person, but they're from New York, right? Like, and you could tell after about 5 minutes of talking to them that they're from New York, and they all have this same problems. And by creating that, it creates a cultural identity that exists outside of their individual cultural identity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I still believe it's very much a white thing to say and do, because it's very much going, we upload this one person to speak for all of us instead of all of us having a voice, which is what you get a lot more in like
Yep.
But again,
for
I'm not necessarily saying it's a single person to speak for us.
no, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I believe I get what you're saying, and
I hope
that
so.
like I'm not going, you're wrong. No, it's
We-
very much like this Americanized idea,
Mhm.
right? And like it's very much a white Americana idea. We have
Sure.
one great man who can do everything for us,
who can fix everything,
who can
and
fix
but
everything.
yeah, but we need to depend, in my opinion, on activists. They're the ones who, like, a lot of people, there's always the whole thing like, don't worship politicians, which is true. It's true. Don't worship, politicians, because they will disappoint you. I feel like the real work is being done by your local community activists, because they're
Yes,
the ones who are making real change.
people who are pushing on the politician to continue listening to the voices of their constituents, to listen to the people on the ground who are living these experiences. That's how you do it. Because once you build, much like Peace Fire now said, that trust, suddenly you have a person that you can put forward. Hey, this politician. We'll use Mom Donnie as an example.
Mhm.
Hey, we have Mom Donnie. He listens to the people on the ground. He listens to the people who are living these experiences, and that's what keeps folks in politician or in like political power for a long time in any other system that's not America.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yep.
let me throw something in there. Oh, sorry, Globus. So this is your panel.
No, no.
I'm so used to hosting panels that I
It's
was like,
free
wait a minute,
form.
I forgot. I'm just a guest.
It's free form. All of you are very respectful. You've been respectful so far. Nobody's trying to talk over anyone else. When someone else jumped in, the person backed up. So by all means, talk.
We're all
So,
friends
I
here.
mean, like, since we're talking about myth, let's talk about the myth that exists already that we should be fighting back against, right? Because the myth that I know to exist is that the Democrats and the left are like, oh, we are the party for everyone. Everyone is included. You have to vote for us because they're white supremacists or they're this or they're that, right? But look at what happened when we lost this last election, right? When Kamala Harris lost the last election, the first people they blamed was everyone in the party. They didn't want to look in the mirror. They wanted to say, oh, this was Muslims' fault. Actually, you know what? We're too woke. Let's throw our trans friends under the bus. And, and it runs counter to the myth that was established. And so, do we need a cultural myth? No, because we've been, like Raptor was reaffirming, the trust has been lost. So, anything you tell me is not going to fly. What I'm looking for now is I've heard enough words. I want to hear about actions. And when you take someone like Mamdani's example and you promise something like we are going to have cheap and free buses or fast and free buses, everyone can connect with that, right? You don't have to go through communist or Marxist theory to understand why that's a good thing for everybody, right? And so rather than myth, I think the focus needs to be on those policies because I think myths are used to distract us, are used to fool us. And the second it doesn't work towards their agenda, they have no problem throwing us under the bus.
Because, like, if I remember correctly, that's a lot of what Trump ran on too.
Mhm.
Not necessarily free buses or free anything, but in the material conditions of people surrounding him. Hey, we're going to deport immigrants. We're going to have them stop eating your cats and dogs, even though it never happened. It is for at least on that side of things, very much I am going
But it
to
was a bunch
personally
of
do
nothing,
this thing for
gibberish.
you.
Flip flopical, flip topological,
Only
flip
I can do
snobical.
it all too.
It was
Yeah,
a bunch
only
of
I
gibberish,
can do it all
bro.
too.
And now he can't. He literally said, "I can't do all this," and it's like, we would have, we knew this. We saw it. We know. You couldn't do all this the first time, but also
Or
too.
worse yet,
Wait.
saying
Were none of you
Yeah.
excited that we got the Cheneys?
Mhm.
Like, that's
And it's so funny because there are so many like liberal content creators on TikTok, regardless of their identity. Regardless if they're gay, straight, black, white, whatever. They're like, it's the Twitter it's the leftist TikTokers who made Kamala. I'm like, no. I'm like, Stop appealing to moderate Democrats. Moderate Democrats are just closet Republicans who are afraid to say that they do like some of Trump's policies, you know? They're always going to vote for
True.
Republicans. They're always going to vote for Republicans. Poll after poll after poll shows that moderate Democrats are like, yeah, we'll still vote for Republicans. It doesn't matter if they do well in swing states. It depends on what I'm concerned about is their voting record. And they always end up being the downfall of the Democratic Party. So yes, I would like, a candidate to run a more progressive leaning ideas that will attract the largest voting block, which is younger voters. They don't feel like they have a voice, but with Mamdani, there's a chance.
Encourage, that's the big thing, encouraging like the younger community to actually go out, take that day off from work, go in early, go do the voting, because that's one thing. What is it, 1/3 of the population, mostly younger voters, don't vote because it's just like, what's the point of it? It's a bunch of old white people that are going to continue running everything.
Yeah, it's funny
Well,
too with the Schumer shutdown. They were like, Trump's like, call your Democratic senators. I'm like, I don't have Democratic senators. I live in South Carolina.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like when you disenfranchise the people on the ground, that's when you start to lose things on the leftist side, on the Democratic side, whatever. And it's very easy to lose things when you are just a baseline Democrat or a middle of the road Democrat or even a liberal, because it's very much like I can convince the Republicans to vote my way instead of going like, this is what's going on, this is why it's going on, and like, with your help, we can fix it. It's not a I can fix it, it's a we can fix it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to talk about something that I would love to hear any party say out loud and run on? How about getting rid of the Electoral College? If you pulled that around America, wouldn't you have everyone being like, "Yeah, I don't know why that exists still, because it has kept us from it creates democracy. The myth becomes democracy, right? We believe we have power, but we don't, because at the end of the day, the electoral college, they have their mechanisms. Like I just wish once we would have had someone like Mitch McConnell who could figure out how to screw all the rules around so that we could actually pass progressive policies, but that doesn't end up happening, right? And so if we're going to get serious about reestablishing that trust, let's talk about the fact that no one trusts the institutions as they exist and how we reform them. Run on a policy of that, and I guarantee it doesn't matter if you're left or right, you're going to find more people coming in. And so, that's just one of those things, because, as you're talking about uniting cultural myths, let's talk about democracy and how much of a myth that is.
Hmm.
And see, one of the things I have is that, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm 100% on board. I think that the electoral college, it was set up for very specific purposes. It continues to do those purposes, even in this day and age. And I think it's terrible, and I think it is an anti-democratic feature. My thing when it comes to all of that kind of stuff is because it's so deeply entrenched and is so like that the majority of the, if not the entirety of the ruling class, um have a vested interest in it. How would you realistically get from here today to the thing that you're talking about? Like, how would we be able to? Yes, you can get, like, Peacefire can run on a platform of getting rid of the electoral college, but it actually requires X number of votes from people who have no interest in eroding their own power. So how would you actually execute on that?
Well, it requires leadership, right? So let's say I was running on that platform. The first thing I would do is I would identify, being like, right off the bat, the people who would like to continue with the status quo are not on the team for change. And so we need to primary these people. We need to find people who are on the same page in terms of how we move forward. And so if you don't start from a grassroots level, and you don't bring that leadership that bring other leaders in different districts or states together in order to unify around a message or a policy that is welcoming to everyone, then like that's where I would start,
Mhm.
right? And that being said, I would also vet the people we pick, because if you've got a Nazi
True.
tattoo, I would
Yes.
just say, hey,
How
maybe we'll
I
pick the other guy who can
GG's.
say the same thing.
I'm so tired of people being like, leftists have to stop falling for bait. I'm like, yeah, but here's the problem though. We end up with John Fetterman types. Like that's what happens when we don't actually vet our left leaning candidates. I mean, even AOC is very like anal about like who she endorses too, because I'm assuming some of these more younger progressives get word about like the digital footprint of some of these other candidates that are running. You know, how do you go for like over 20 years and not know that's a Nazi tattoo? Is what I'm
Oh, he
just
knew. He knew.
I-
I'm telling you right
He
now, he
knew.
knew.
if you know, then get it removed as soon as you find out. That's all I have to say. Goddamn.
Yeah, uniting
Yeah,
the
no, I
cultural myth
agree.
that that we're going to give the benefit of the doubt he did know is ridiculous, right? And when you're talking to someone like me, and I know I'm not in America, but like when I'm sitting here and being like, people are like, stop ruining it for us. I was like, what? Well, you go talk to your family and friends who might have been imprisoned in Abu Ghraib or were killed when he was in Blackwater. Is it a Nazi tattoo? Let me think about that. Yeah, of course it fucking is. He has a record of doing Nazi type shit for the government under a cultural myth that America is fighting for good and fighting against the evil around there. And so when you asked me about uniting under cultural myths, I was like, yeah, I don't know about that, because it's that same neoconservative myth that America good fighting against the powers of evil that have left the Middle East absolutely destroyed.
I, I,
So
I
that's
So
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah.
on.
I
Oh,
get
sorry. Go ahead.
I get so mad though when white leftists are like, but I'm like, no, but here I'm like, but the problem is, I'm like, guys, this is we cannot be making this space. Shout out to the space that I host on YouTube or whatever. But like, I'm like, white
Ooh.
leftists need to know when to sit down, shut the fuck up, and listen to leftists of color, because we cannot be making this space smaller and smaller and get caught up in stupid drama when there are actual valid concerns about some of these white progressives running for office. And that drives me nuts
Yeah.
when people like when you guys get shut down with when you have like valid criticisms that need to be heard and also uplifted by someone like myself.
On that same note, can we let's go ahead? Like, I'm gonna use a real life example. You guys are welcome to disagree with me on this, and I feel like it's very important to say. Like for example, Bernie Sanders. One of those some of the final polling of Bernie Sanders had him. He was very popular amongst white folk.
Mhm.
He the Oh boy, are you okay over there?
Yeah, sorry.
That's
I got a
okay.
really bad cough.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was polling only slightly better than Biden, like at the end of his run. And that's because he wasn't doing the work and listening to black voices. What he was doing was very performative. He was only showing people like Killer Mike, for example, whose audience, I'm gonna be honest with you, ain't black folk. It
Mm,
is for white kids. But
yep.
he was very popular amongst younger white voters. The thing is that a lot of these politicians that they tend to forget is they need to go out and actually talk with their constituents, get the black voting sphere out there. That's what Mom Donnie did very well with the stories that he collected, with the people that he brought up and endorsed, and that were endorsing him. It is the idea that we won't get white people to vote for us. A lot of white people are going to be like, "Well, that sounds scary. We can't socialism, Medicare for all. That sounds scary. It takes more money out of my pocket." While black folk are absolutely going, "Yeah, we need that. We have other things we need too, and that needs to be addressed as well." Because the idea of like only classism, like class reductionism, being the center of your movement, much like what Bernie Sanders was doing, is is not going to draw out the young black folk that need to vote.
Mhm.
It's not going to
Yeah.
address our material conditions. I'm lucky amongst black people living in a 2-bedroom apartment that I lucked into. But a lot of people aren't like me. They're living in generational homes. They're living in food deserts. They're living in places that are run down that still suffer from lead. Like, has anybody heard of Flint, Michigan recently?
Mm,
Like, these are
yeah.
things that need to be addressed. These are material conditions, and we need the footwork to get out there and address them. And that's how you get momentum behind your movement.
Yeah. I
Oh, I,
remember. Oh, I remember. Sorry, I remember when I was working for Bernie both times. I remember the first thing was like, oh, his base is not diverse enough the first time around. But then the second time around, the mainstream media was like, he needs to appeal to like white moderate men if he wants to win. And I'm like, which is it? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, and also too, when I was volunteering, I did not. When we didn't have a whole lot of people, there was a lot of rural black communities that we had to canvass in. And I'm like, look, we cannot have someone like myself going into these communities because I cannot relate to these people. I have to, find canvassers who understand the needs and wants of these poor black communities. So luckily for us, we started actually curating canvassing teams based on like what part of the town that we were going towards. Because when we tried canvassing the first time around, we got laughed at, and I understand. I understood why. I'm like, yeah, this is not this. There's no way that we can relate or comprehend like their needs and wants. I mean, they said yeah, they'd vote because we were like the only canvassing like campaign that would go there because a lot of these communities have felt neglected, year after year after year, you know? And I mean,
yep.
but I feel like that's more of like a South Carolina, like Democratic Party problem in general. But it does baffle me that we do keep clinging on to like white left leaning figures over and over again. Because when they say the same shit Mamdani's saying, it doesn't sound as scary.
True.
Yep.
So using I I feel like we opened the panel with something that, and we got a lot of good ideas, good conversation out of that. Pivoting to the idea of propaganda, do any of you feel that leftists are good at, and broadly speaking, right, the majority are good at messaging or propaganda or whatever term works best for you? Do any of you feel that they are good at it?
I mean, there are examples. I mean, you see you see where Hassan has gotten to, right? I think we're all propagandists on here. And, Hassan has proven that you can take it to a level where it has that influence where, it can make a difference, right?
Mm.
One of the rhetorics I really hated coming out of the election loss was people talking about, oh, the problem is we didn't have a Joe Rogan on the left. We need a Joe Rogan on the left. I was like, no, you have plenty of incredible voices on the left. The problem is you've always dismissed them as if they're not able to get messaging out, right? Schumer's sitting there thinking he's connecting to the population. Are you kidding me? He's barely keeping his glasses on. Obviously he's out of touch. And for a lot of Democrats, they dismiss it. They did it with AOC as well. Remember when AOC was coming into office and they were showing videos and being like, they're not serious. This is an unserious candidate. They're not going to be able to do that. And, even when they came in, they started off trying to make that difference, going after the rich, but ultimately they realize the game that needs to be played when you're part of the Democratic Party. And it is the same thing we need to worry about with Mamdani moving forward. Need to keep pressuring, need to get accountable, try to hold accountable that he follows through his words with actions, because ultimately no one is going to solve the problem, all of our problems on their own. It's going to need pressure. And even with Barack Obama, one of the things that happened is people should have pushed back. When they came up with Obamacare, there should have been a big pushback being like, that's not what we wanted. We wanted universal health care, right? There needs to be a pushback, not being like, okay, well, let's wait and see and wait and see. And, oh, if only we had an effective propagandist to push this messaging. it really comes down to people, and we have our propagandists. It's just a matter of the leadership actually appreciating the way that many people are able to communicate, which is something the Republicans do very well. You know, they'll bring Shapiro and they'll bring all of these ass hats together, even though you know at the heart of it that they obviously, like, half of them actually hate Shapiro because they're anti-Semitic.
Mm.
And yet
Yeah,
they
they all hate
still
each other.
managed to bring them all together with the same messaging, right? And we could do that. Like I said when we started, you don't need to require everyone to be in agreement. You just need to have everyone respect each other moving forward with the politicians or the leaders that they believe are going to bring about the changes that we're all talking about. Sorry.
I
I'm used
I
to
think we
cooking on my own.
I think we mostly agree with you because honestly,
Yeah.
leftists fucking suck at marketing and like
Oh God.
messaging. But part of that is because of the quote. What's that parable? A lie takes like what is it? Lie takes 10 minutes or 10 seconds to spew or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
A,
give me a sec.
a lie will be halfway around the world before the truth has its chance on, I think is the one I heard.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So that's why, and since the lies are so easily spread, and no one can fact check them in real time, people need to have like something ready to go on the flip side in order
Yeah.
to counteract that.
Yeah.
Like saying something, we can happily go, oh hey, Trump is wrong about this, and this, and it's fast. It's good. Like it takes not fast. It takes forever to say compared to yeah, but he's a pedophile, and just end it there. It's not a good message. It's not good messaging. It's not good marketing. But leftists inherently are bad at marketing because we're against lying.
Right.
Yeah, and another thing too is that liberals will get so like, oh my God, like I'll use defund the police for example. A lot of people say that was bad, that was bad, that was so scary. I'm like, I'm like, okay, what are we supposed to say? What would the slogan be that's catchy? No, you can't come up with anything catchier than defund the police. What we're supposed to like, like cut some funding to allocate to social workers? Is that a better like catchy slogan? No,
I had
like
an ex get very upset with that one.
I get very upset with that one too. But now you got fucking Bill Crystal, who's like, maybe abolish ICE is actually a good thing, and I'm like,
This is crazy.
well, look where we are. We got neoconservative pro-Iraq war, Bill Crystal, and even Joe Walsh are like, yeah, abolish ICE seems actually a good slogan, and we should do that. And I'm like, liberals, you're being outflanked by neoconservatives who are anti-Trump now on this.
Yeah, and like because the only answer that I can think of is just encourage education. Free education, not even enforced education like we have across the United States, where it's illegal for a kid to go and be a kid. Where they're forced to sit in a classroom for 8 hours. Having something that is free and accessible in terms of education encourages people to learn and to engage with it. So it's very much one of those things where you got fucking you have on one side misinformation, and on the other side you have 10 paragraphs of materialist like analysis
So
to explain why the misinformation is wrong.
right, and I think you bring up a good point. There is the left versus right in the sense of like leftist versus neoconservative and all that. Is the leftists are already always on the back foot. They're always acting defensively. They're always explaining why the bullshit is bullshit rather than just like like a keto, right? Like I'm gonna let your bullshit fly right on by me, and I am going to counter, right? Like with something else and something that is short. Like one of the things that the right and such generally have is like three beat slogans, right? Let's go Brandon, right? 4 more years, lock her up, that kind of thing. having something, and this speaks to this idea, of effective propaganda, is there something that we can use that, again, I'm not going to, you are going to come at me with Donald Trump was actually deep cover FBI, and I'm going to completely avoid that conversation and just counter with a 3 beat message. Is that something that we are even capable of doing? Can we boil like Das Kapital down into 3 beats?
Well, I think one of the problems is we have done that. Like we were saying, defund the police, right? But what ends up happening is it gets stigmatized, right? And when you don't have mainstream media supporting those calls, they add to that fear. And so Mamdani isn't able to come out here and be like, defund the police. But if you listen to some of the messaging, it sounds very much like he wants to address it as an issue. Obviously, he's trying to work within the system, which pisses people off. But I feel like one of the things is whenever we come up with a slogan, it quickly gets stigmatized. And at a time where there is no trust, I don't trust you. I don't trust your words even when they go beyond a slogan, because we've been duped so many times at this point. And so I don't think finding the slogan is what we need so much as we need to reestablish the trust and improve on the messaging. And I'll give you an example, Globus, over here on the north side of Turtle Island, right? We have a conservative by the name of Pierre Polyev,
Okay, the Apple
who,
guy.
Mhm.
yeah, and he was really good with slogans to the point where I was like, damn, I'm kind of worried, right? He'd be like the have yachts and the have nots, right? And stupid shit like that would connect with people on a level being like, yeah, I am pissed off with the rich, right? But of course they're the party of the rich. So what are we talking about here, right? And so it could be used to fool them. The only reason we don't have Pierre Polyev right now is because thank you for electing Trump, because that scared the shit out of every Canadian to then go vote against. It's not like anybody likes the Liberals here, but we were just like, no chance, no shot. We are even going to experiment or take a chance the same way America is reelecting that asshat. And otherwise, those slogans and that messaging would have worked, even though it was incredibly difficult to even believe that they were a party against the rich. And so I guess I'm kind of screwing myself in my argument, because that kind of goes back to your point of how powerful slogans can be. But I'm here. I'm on a learning journey, and I can't
Aren't we all?
backtrack. I don't like it. I don't like it though.
I love self reflection in real time. It's a beautiful thing.
You just see it happening.
Yeah.
No, but ultimately the answer from me is still going to be no. And it's not because like, oh yeah, axe attack doesn't sound good, Black Lives Matter those all sound good, but they quickly co-opted and bent out of shape. I'm gonna shout out my friend Soup, Soup from my breadline here, who brought up a really good example.
Comrade
Just
Zoop.
call him weird. Just call him weird.
That was
so
super
effective.
effective.
Oh
It was
my
so effective they
god!
wouldn't stop
Why
doing
did?
it.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
But like this, and this is the thing too, Rapture, and you guys will all agree. People like vibes when it comes to politics. It's all about the vibes, like messaging. Okay, I guess, but like people love the Kamala Brat summer falling out of a coconut tree. Republicans are weird. Dancing to Beyonce. Like people were loving that. Young folks were loving that, and then they had to listen to fucking Biden moderate consultants are like, no, don't do that. You gotta appeal to Republicans and anti-Trump Republicans. And it's like, did it work though? It was
No.
working what we were doing at first.
Just call him
They got
weird.
so
Well,
mad. They got so mad by and then they got so offended. I'm like, you guys are calling us pedophiles and all this shit. You can't handle being called weird. Okay, I'm gonna keep calling you weird.
And like you're weird thinking that people like they think that we're fucking kids. Like you're weird. And then just leave. And keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing.
Be like, I'm out.
Well, I mean, to add to what Christina's. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say, just to add to what you're saying, is you see what Newsom is doing right now. And he's playing off that same kind of idea where it's like, oh, I'll appeal to them with memes. right? And people are like, it is effective. He's fighting back, but it's not like I trust
But
Newsom.
No.
You know what
but
I mean?
also
So
but he's also passing really, really bad policies too, like
Yeah.
not allowing the driver's licenses of 17,000, undocumented migrants. It's like, like you can't do it. You can't have it, both ways, and and I feel like that's what he's doing though. It's like, yeah, he's memeing his way to the White House, but like he's also passing really bad legislation in California, like
So like the because it's very much ties into the whole a lie is halfway across the world while the truth's still getting its shoes on. They're going to lie. That is their propaganda. That is their quippy thing. They're just going to lie, and
Mhm.
they're the only counter to that is just not engage with the lie. Because sure, I can send you a 10-page essay on why you're wrong and all the facts, but it's also more effective just drop the fact, like drop a quick image of the facts and go, you're fucking weird,
Mhm.
and just leave. Because the moment that you are dragged down to their level, they're going to continue winning because they just have more sources and AI on their side to just lie with. And this is why I was
yeah,
saying
I mean,
earlier, we need to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go finish your thought.
Oh, that's what I'm saying also earlier is that we need to make things like education free. We need to make things like education integrated into mutual aid and like just have the education out there in a more digestible way than read through Das Kapital all the way through.
Now,
Yeah, beating people to
hold up,
death with theory
real,
really turns people off.
yeah, real quick. When you say education, are you referring to like the Department of Education, or are you talking about education from leftists?
Education
Wait, there's
from
still a Department of Education? I thought they got rid of that.
I'm
Yeah.
just as a stand-in for
it's
formalized education.
a
Is that
leftist
right?
education.
Okay.
If it's going to be like I call Hassan the fast food of leftism. And I don't know if it's a good analogy, but it's an analogy that I think is more acceptable because it's quick, it's easy. He gets angry, which I don't necessarily agree with, but then again, the few times that I get angry is when something continues to be, you know, continuously pounded at me with bullshit, and even then I've even gotten angry at Hassan. But it's very much we need to have somebody who will dissect this stuff and talk about it and break it down and go like, yeah, man, this is just fucking racism. This is just misogyny dressed up in extra words. Like,
Yeah.
and it has to be free and engaging and entertaining for people who are so used to the Joe Rogan type, or who's so used to like Joe Rogan or Sargon of Akkad or what other like
I haven't heard that
number
name in a while.
of well, I was watching him recently. Any other number of like these other fucking weirdos
Mhm.
like will
Well,
say.
well, one thing I wanted to say about weird is it really comes down to framing. And yes, it was effective this time around. But I mean, like, I embrace that I'm weird, and I don't want to be a normie, right?
But
So,
I think it
and
was
when
But
I
there's
think
a
about
good
Hunter
weird.
S. Thompson, like
Where's the good
if you think
weird?
about Hunter S. Thompson, I think he ran for a sheriff on a platform of the freaks need to take over or something like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it can be a powerful message. It's a matter of framing, which is something that we could elaborate more on. But go ahead, Globus. I interrupted.
no. I think it was exactly that. There was an inherent understood framing. Is like we understand that, like, yeah, you've got colored hair or piercings or many tattoos or whatever, and you're letting your freak flag fly. That's weird, but that's what we consider good weird. And when they said that Republicans were weird, it was inherent in the statement that they were bad weird, right? Like they were, don't let your kids near those people weird kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that both things can coexist.
And so I think it comes back to that question of framing, because I think that's where Democrats fail the most when framing their policies around
Well,
slogans
fuck
and
the
messaging.
Democrats.
There's a disconnect, right? There's a disconnect. So that's kind of where
Yeah, I'm not
where I was kind of
particularly
taking it.
like that. That is one thing that we have done tonight, and it's like it seems to continue to come back to the Democrats, and it's possible that that's because they are the closest thing to an opposition party, many crime bunnies, um,
Ugh.
related to like our politics of uniparty and etc. But fuck the Democrats. I'm trying to get past them as like a concept, right? Like that
Hmm.
because did
Hmm.
Mamdani ran on the Democratic ticket, but he was a
Vote blue
Democratic
no matter who.
socialist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like he was using the tool that existed, but he was not participating in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think this ties back into having this education be engaging and fun is the big thing. A lot of fucking boomers, let's call them that. Boomers are so used to these quippy, like quick little things, and they need, from my perspective as a previous teacher, is to make education free, fun, and enjoyable. There's a reason why I do racism gamba during my Rotchication streams, because it is engaging. It is fun. It is us all laughing at the weird racist things that people are saying and trying to couch up in like, oh yeah, racial or not racial. Everything's tied back to an archetype, except that black people don't have archetypes. Like, and it's then we go from there to dismantling why what they're doing is fucking weird. Like,
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, just to add to education, you know, I think what's even more influential is, getting involved with mutual aid and mutual aid organizations on a ground level, right? Because if you see the people who are helping you actually survive the environment and the economy that we are in, all of a sudden, you start being like, okay, well, how should I vote, or where should I vote? How do we get more of this, right? And
mhm.
so, to your point, Globus the Elder, how do I put it? Yes, I very much agree. Fuck the Democratic Party. But
Hmm.
where we go from here is the question, that I know many have been grappling. Can you change it from within in the same way that Mamdani has done? Or how do you create a third party? Is it even possible? And so, rather than thinking about it, in terms of parties, I think making those changes, getting involved with mutual aid and community groups, if there is enough of that happening, then making that shift or creating a new party becomes something that is possible because uh, you have a ground base to build off of, right? But without that, we're stuck with the system and the parties that we are given and the vote blue no matter who, and hope that they'll change it from within. But I have seen too many times, right? When Bernie Sanders gets fucked and AOC, completely, starts going along party lines, and I won't be surprised if I see Mamdani fall the same way, because at the end of the day they may want to bring change, but until we're talking about how we change the party or to get out of the party completely, I fear that the status quo is still going to be what we see. And so I don't know if you want to push back on that
I don't.
add
I
to it.
actually want to dovetail off of that. I think that the reason for that, and like one of the things that was brought up specifically tonight, was how that the right will always take, and by the right I mean anyone to the left of leftists, will always take the messaging like defund the police and twist it into a negative, and how these folks, and I'm talking normies, right? Not leftists, but like normies. The normies you think you might be able to work with if you could just get them to listen to you for like 20 minutes to half an hour. They are exposed to a constant deluge of propaganda, right? Like there's, the American mythology that we touched on earlier. Um, the mainstream media, capitalist propaganda, all these different things, and they are, to an extent, even though they're suffering, they are comfortable, right? Like they are they have enough coping mechanisms and acquired trauma responses where they can feel comfortable, and to present them with an idea like that, a universal healthcare, just to touch on an easy one, is something that would actually be beneficial to them. Their brain immediately associates universal healthcare with communist China, right? Like, and ergo bad. And effective propaganda and then effective entertaining education has to get past that knee jerk reaction to get to the other side and then to engage with them, because you can't even engage with them because of the propaganda that they're already understanding. Does all that make sense?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Sorry. Go ahead, Christina.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because More Perfect Union does a really good job actually explaining like how we could have had Medicare for all back in like the 40s, but like the American Medical Association was lobbying against it and propagandized as it's some like big communist, scary type of system where you're gonna have to pay a bunch and for your health care and wait in line for hours and hours and blah 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 or weeks or whatever. And it's just funny too because when I was volunteering for Bernie, a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I like his Medicare for all policy, but what am I going to pay? How much of my tax dollars is going towards my own healthcare?" So what we did is I actually did a little digging. It got me in trouble with the campaign too because it was not officially approved like campaign literature. And it explained like based on your income, how much you would pay. A lot of these people are like, "Wow, I don't have to pay a goddamn dime or a penny towards my healthcare." Awesome, cool. And that sold them because it was short, concise, and accurate. And
This is
they didn't have to go through paragraphs and paragraphs to explain what Medicare for all policy was.
this is why I'm saying education should be free. Having tools that you can engage with, like, hey, I make $50,000 a year. How much am I going to pay in Medicare for all? And go, oh, nothing. Oh, okay then. It's one of those things where what's not going to come from leftism and like leftist movements. It shouldn't be quippy little fucking things like the quips. Yeah, quips. It shouldn't just be funny quips. It should be, here's a tool, use it. We are in the age of free information now, where we can utilize it, and it's not just a dude yelling at you from just quoting Das Kapital. It's very much we can just have a calculator for you. We can go, hey, here is a tool. You can go look at it, and it is the whole math for you. And if you want to have a breakdown, there's a breakdown for why it does what it does. Oh, you want a plan? Go to another tab. Accessibility and fun is what's gonna drag people in,
Mm.
and just having like a quick card or a QR code or whatever that people can go to. We are in a technological age. We don't need people on the street corner yelling at folks anymore. We can have the same person go, hey, you want to know what it's going to cost you for this? Scan, and it will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Americans are lazy and they want just
And
the accessibility, and that is that is how you get people on your side.
gotta dumb it
Yeah.
down.
I think to go back to I think what Globus was saying, or one of the things that kind of upsets me is that we divorce ourselves from reality and what words mean, right, and what is behind them. I was seeing in chat people being like, let's talk about Antifa, right, and the way that people have tried to turn that into something that is scary when every American should be embracing that they are against fascism, right?
Right.
I mean,
The
right, And so, it kind of goes back to Raptor's point where it's like, education at the end of the day. But there are also hijacking of movements that we see. I mean, Raptor, when we saw Black Lives Matter rising up, how many times did we have to hear everyone on the mainstream media talking about like, yeah, but shouldn't we also be talking about all lives matter?
All lives matter,
like,
or white lives matter, or
Oh,
yeah,
pigs in a blanket. Let them fry like bacon. I can't believe they said that. And I'm like, oh my god.
they
Or
want to
like,
kill cops. Yeah,
I know.
and so, and what's missing is the pushback on that, right? It gets thrown out there, but we never push back. And so I think that's something also that's missing in terms of countering the messaging and, explaining why words mean what they mean, because apparently, because of the lack of education, there is always that disconnect, and it gets twisted and it turns into, and it takes things that are beautiful or things we want to see, and they turn them into something that people start fearing because it's been completely stigmatized by mainstream media.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I just kind of wanted to add that in. But I mean, like,
Oh yeah.
there's
Yeah. I
a
mean,
lot of
look at.
misogyny, right? Why can't we have
true.
more
Hmm.
women in positions of power? Every time they'll be like, well, because of Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, it's going to be a while until we ever consider. And it's like trying to
Or we're
elect
on our
another woman, and it's
Menzies.
like, yeah. Well, I mean, like, there is so much to unpack there, and so Christina, I'll just listen and I'll let you take it from there, because when we
Yeah.
talk about discrimination, it comes in all
Yeah,
forms.
when people are like, "Well, women will be on their period," I'm like, "Well, believe it or not, Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris don't get their periods anymore. So I'm sorry, but also
They're
too,
not real women, or whatever they say. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But also too, it's like all wars in the United States have been started by men in power, and also too, testosterone is the reason why we seem very emotional, and that's kind of like the key hormone for men. No offense, but I'm just saying, you guys might be a little emotional at times too.
Oh, men are
But
absolutely emotional. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
emotional right
But
now. No.
yeah, but I just think it's funny when everyone's like, "Oh, and I explain to these people, I'm like, you do realize that that if we were to elect a Hillary Clinton or a Kamala Harris, they're in menopause. They don't. What's the excuse now? They're like, well, women. And it's like that's not really a good excuse for why we can't have a female president. But whatever, more female presidents, whatever. But
More
it's
women drone pilots. Is that what we're talking about now?
yeah, exactly. Put the rainbow
Yeah,
flag on
bring
the whatever.
back DEIA, right?
Yeah, but also too, like when people talk about Antifa, it's like, guys, you do realize that Antifa was like the leading like opposition during World War II. But people are like, well, this is a different Antifa. I'm like, how is it different from like that time? They're like, well, it's gotten used and abused by. I'm like, not really. I mean, you see what's going on in Seattle. It's like everyone's dressing up and partying in front of like ICE detention centers, trying to get people out, and it's like it's it's so funny that the disconnect between what's really going on and what people are being fed by like the media.
Well, that
So
again ties back into a lie is already halfway across the world. Like,
yep,
as someone who may or may not have been involved in Chaz Chop, like all the lying. Oh, there are more people that died in Chaz Chop. There have been in fucking Chicago in like 2 weeks, and it's just no, it's not true at all. Because it's easy to lie about these movements when you're on a right winger because of fifis
Mm.
over what's actually happening on the ground. Which is why
yeah,
the main talking point I have whenever it comes to this, like these movements, is are you there? Have you been there? Well, no. This is what they told me. Okay, how about you go there and see
yeah.
what's going on?
We're originally from New Jersey, and my right wing Trump loving uncle moved down here because affordability, but he acts like he knows what's going on with the teachers in New Jersey, and I'm like, your niece, my sister, is a teacher. I'm assuming she knows more about what's really going on than you do from hearsay that you get from like Newsmax or whatever. You know, you're not like half the time these conservatives are not even there. It's like, oh my god, New York is going downhill. I'm like, first of all, you've never been there as a tourist, and second of all, you're never going to be there to begin with. Like, what do you know about the downfall of New York City?
That again, my favorite thing is challenging their ignorance, which is
Hmm.
very much, have you been there? Are you there right now? Well, no, but this is what
No.
they're saying.
Who's they?
Cool. Who's they?
No,
Do they have?
I
Who?
It's
mean,
Who's
walking
the
them through that
we?
critical. It's walking them through that critical thinking. Oh, that's what Fox News said. Okay, do you think Fox News may have an incentive to keep you watching?
Yeah,
Uh,
Fox News should be in Florida. I'm surprised they're the only news network in downtown Manhattan anyway. So it's like they talk this shit about New York City all the time. It's like, well, get the fuck out of there.
yeah, it's very much this thing where the asking of why, the Socratic method, will trip them up. Will trip up right wingers, which is like the only way to have a conversation with them in the first place. I support Trump. Well, why? Oh, because he's telling the truth. On what? Because when you challenge them in their thinking, that's when they sometimes get more curious. But it also is exposing the fact that they haven't thought these things through. And usually, when people are made aware of being an idiot, they get a little embarrassed
Hmm.
and are less likely to
now,
repeat the same lie somewhere else.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of important to hit a little more on the line. Oh, man, I have to stop doing this. I keep thinking I'm running this panel. Sorry,
I'm
just
also a
feel like that's
yapper,
an
so I
intro.
understand.
Yeah,
I have too
yeah.
much too.
I was just
I'm so used to being on a panel full of men. No offense, as a hosting a movie podcast. So it's like, oh,
Well, I mean, like if we're talking about little things we need to change in terms of seeing those big changes that we're all looking for, we have to self-reflect. We have to talk about language itself because there's a lot of language we need to deprogram. There's a lot of misogyny in our language, a lot of ableism in our language, a lot of things that have become so normalized. And without that kind of investigation, without that kind of self-reflection, we are always leaving people excluded or leaving people feeling marginalized. And at a time where, what I was going to say earlier about hitting back on the lies, because the lies, they 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 do the damage right away, and correcting them is impossible. Right? You can get away with genocide with a lie, right? Which is what we are seeing happening here. And so, if we are not going to talk about our language and deconstruct how we change that language to begin with, I feel like we're doomed to make the same mistakes over and over again, where we leave whole sections, whole communities out of the change that we're pushing for. And so, I don't know. That's my thought. But if anybody has anything to add to that, or Globus, if you want to take back paneling duties, I'll leave it at that.
this panel's out of control.
Oh no!
No, and
We need 20 more people to make it worse.
to
Bring in more leftists. Let's go.
Oh
speak
God.
to the idea, like to meta this for a second, is the idea that like panels, like when I joined
Oh,
Twitch,
kitty.
panels were dominated by like debate bros, and it was who can argue harder, faster, stronger, whatever, rather than people
Mm.
actually talking about ideas. And I think that panels themselves have a great deal of value because we can challenge each other's ideas and discuss them and maybe kick around okay, maybe kick around stuff
Yeah.
and figure things out, but it's done in a way and in a space that's like respectful. Everyone is willing, they want to get their ideas out, and space is made for that, but at the same time they are willing to create space for other members of the panel to get their ideas out. Y'all have been great so far. I'm very happy with the panel so far, and that you all agree here. This was a great decision on my part, and that's why you should follow me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I may add
Please.
to what you're saying, Globus, right? Like if we're talking about little steps that we can take, right? And it goes back to what Christina was talking about, right? If somebody came to me and says, "Hey, I want you on a panel," first thing I say is, "Who's on this panel?" if the panel is not diverse and is not inclusive, I want zero to do with it, right? I can't tell you how many times I've had people ask me, and I'm like, yeah, four guys talking about four dudes talking
Women
about
stuff.
yeah any issue that affects all of us is not going to be the way to the way to have a proper conversation that is constructive in any way, because it leaves so many people out of it, right? And when I was running panels, one of the things I struggled with was I was doing panels that would have like 9 people, which was like just ridiculous.
That's a lot.
I have a
Yeah,
solution for that, by the way.
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
was on Enemy Charlie. She did like a whole thing where it's like a process of elimination, because I would be on like 20-person panels, but after every question around, someone would get voted off, and I'm like, how am I still here at the very end?
No.
What do I?
I,
I'm like, I'm a dumbass. Why am I still here?
I will quote another person from my chat. Thank you, Atomic Crouton. Is that like debate bro panels have led to the memification of like politics and things like this where conversations can occur.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So like there is an element of me, mostly the theater kid portion, of where I think that I should be saying quips and making people laugh.
Mhm.
But I also recognize that I have a lot to say, and I've made people uncomfortable on panels before by being just as radically black as I am, pro black, like as because sometimes it has led to people going like, I have not thought of like the inherent white supremacists of the inherent white supremacy of these systems. It makes me uncomfortable. Like, or the inherent misogynoir that we have in America. I don't like that thought process. I don't want to talk about it.
yeah. And also,
Yeah.
too, a lot of debate panels, not gonna name any names of people who do these types of panels, because but there are people who are like, let's talk about, bestiality. Is it cool or not? And I'm like, why are we doing panels like this as
What the
liberals
fuck?
and leftists? And like, no, 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 that's not something that, like, I feel like that's not.
Yeah.
I can't take you seriously. Like,
Raptor,
Look,
I'd
you
rather
don't
debate
know
Were you
what.
with.
I
invited to
I
some kind of
promote.
mosh panel or something?
All
Is that
right,
what we're
I
doing?
I
Where's this
promote
happening?
ethical freakism. Okay, I
Okay.
promote ethical freakism. All right, let your freak flag fly. I don't give a shit as long as everyone consents, as long as it's able to consent and it's like mature. As long as it passes the Harkness test. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Do it. All right.
Raptor,
But
if
like,
you
but like,
don't
but you know what I'm
understand that
saying? Like,
reference,
yeah.
then that's good.
No, I
And
do know
it's
what the
good.
reference
There are
is to.
people in chat who understand that reference. I understood that reference, and that's all we need to say about that reference.
I
Yeah, I
didn't.
just
I was like, all right,
good
everybody,
for
be
you.
love, give love, accept love. I'm out of
Bye.
here.
Good for you.
We're
Good for you. But again, I just feel like we need to have panels about like serious discussions. I feel like that's how we can become like a good place on the left, and I feel like that's how we could be taken more seriously as Twitch streamers and podcasters. It's like, yeah, we should be debating serious topics, and with care, and also with a little bit of humor,
Mhm.
like what we're doing now. But it's like,
Speaking
yeah, I
speaking of
can't.
funny stuff, I want to say that it's all my people that are saying, "Be ethical, please."
Oh god. Anyway.
So go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just
And on
saw a
that
Anyway,
pattern.
note,
I
it's
had to
been
point
anyway,
it
I
out.
great.
just I started blasting. Anyway.
yeah. I mean, we want to see change be the change first, right? And that
Mhm.
can come down to the language we use. That comes to the way we put panels together. That comes to the content we cover, right? If and there's nothing wrong with covering just one thing if that's your thing, but ultimately for me, if I want to talk about the needs of the many and making everyone feel included, I have to make space to have conversations. I have to make space to bring in content, and I'm on a journey where I am learning, right? If anyone out there thinks they know everything, that is a person you shouldn't be following. You should be following people who understand that there is lots to learn, because I can't possibly understand what it's like to be Christina, or living with misogyny. I can understand discrimination, but I can't understand the sting of misogyny. It's the same thing with Raptor. I mean, like, they'll say brown and black people, but I was like, our experiences are still different. It's not the exact same, but the discrimination remains. As for Globus, fuck Globus. No, I'm kidding.
Like it should be noted on on kind of the same level there though. Peacefire now is that like a lot of leftists think that just being class reductionist is just where it ends. Oh yeah, I believe everyone should have healthcare, free housing, whatever. And that's where they stop. They don't explore anything else in regards to intersectionality, leftism, anything like that. You know,
Yep.
and that's kind of a big defining factor because as leftists, we need to analyze certain aspects. We need to realize that, yeah, the system is inherently anti-black or inherently anti-woman, and we got to help promote those people through equity in order to make our movement as big tent as possible, as welcoming as possible, and so that we learn. We are all inherently curious people. Like that's kind of the thing here that's like the common thread through all of this is that we are all inherently curious. We're all inherently empathetic with other people's like plights going on and trying to figure out, okay, how's the best way that I can minimize the plight of people that I do have a blind side to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, Globus, I was just kidding with you. Look at the panel. Look at the
Really?
panel that is here today. I mean, it's diverse, and that is trying, right? That is what I'm talking about in terms of moving forward. It's easy to talk about inclusion and accessibility and all of that. It's a little tougher to do it in practice, and this right here, making sure panels are diverse and things like that moving forward is just like the basic thing we can do. And that's why if anybody out there streams and reaches out to me, if that panel isn't diverse, don't expect I'm going to be part of it. So that's kind of like a rule I have. And when I asked you and you told me who, I was like, well, that's diverse. I'm down. You know what I mean? We're going to get different perspectives, because hearing four people with the same shared experience talking about an issue is not how we talk about that issue that affects many people. And
It's
so,
also engaging with those people too. I'm going to say that right now. Too many white leftists, not saying anyone here on the panel, because obviously you're all here willing to engage, are like in their own insular bubble and like section of the internet, and they don't engage with other leftists. And sometimes it's like, oh well, there's too much leftist infighting. Yeah, engage with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
not only
Talk
that, but they
about it.
actively bully
Everyone's
people out of the
been catching
space, right?
strays.
True,
Right.
that does
Everyone's-
happen. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. There are too many people catching strays these days, and everyone's like, "How do you stay up?" And I'm like, "I'm in my little corner. No one knows who I am, and I feel that's great because I know too many people who hate each other. Maybe that's what it is too." I'm like, you know what? I'm Switzerland. I'm Switzerland. Okay, I'm cool. I'm like, you know what? You hate him. She hates her, and he hates. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna discuss anyone to each other, knowing that they all hate each other. And that's how I do it. I separate all my friendships from everyone who hates each other in the space. And it's like, oh my God.
That's a great way to do it. Like, and if people feel uncomfortable with like, oh yeah, I'm calling out Hassan, for example, or I'm calling out other leftist streamers, I'm not doing it because I hate them. I'm doing it because there is problems in what I like my perspective of how they're freeze.
Okay.
OBS.
No, you're good.
There we
You're
go. Okay. Like that I have problems, then I'm going to criticize these problems. But it's not that I'm going like I'm not going to build a coalition with a that was hypothetical. That like, oh yeah, there's a coalition of somebody that I fucking hate that I don't want to cover. Fuck them. They're some other minority to me. Fuck them. I don't want to deal with them. No, it's very much I believe they can be better. I want them to have the very basics of care. But if they don't want to fuck with me, that's fine. I'm not gonna fuck with them. Like I don't fuck with Hassan. I'll criticize him, but I also recognize the process or the good he brings to the space is a good way to put it.
And I think
I wouldn't be on this space if it wasn't for the trail he blazed. I didn't know that this was a platform we could talk politics.
True.
Hassan was my entry
Yeah.
into it. But does that mean I agree with everything Hassan says? No, no. In fact, I
Yeah.
have a lot of criticism for Hassan, but I'm never going to deny the impact and the influence and the fact that I am here as a result of it, right?
I
At
think that
least you
there.
guys are not saying that that Hassan's not gonna fuck me. I really appreciate you guys saying that. You know, I'm over here like I don't want that. He seems like a lot to handle. Okay, chill out.
I think Hassan might fuck me. I think that people sometimes like the word criticism. I don't know is actually the good word to use. I think like critique, right? Like if we're going to talk about words and the words having meaning, I can critique what Raptor, their presentation or something, their argument or something like that, but it's not a criticism of Raptor. It is a critique of how they're going about something. And then leftists, especially leftists on Twitch or leftists on Twitch, you have to be open for the explanation and the counter argument from the individual that you're critiquing. Give them the opportunity to explain. Maybe there's a reason why Raptor does what they do. Like I'm not a rot guy. I don't like rot generally speaking. I dabble in other people's rot like adjacently. Like I'll watch Raptor do stuff. Other people, but like broadly speaking, it's just not for me, dog. It's just not the kind of thing that I want to do. But I could express that to say like that is I think that giving those people a platform uh is problematic, and then Raptor would respond with
Yeah. No, I'm fucking serious. Like some of the people I cover are just genuinely terrible people. Like that
Yeah.
like, but I don't fuck with them like in a way that is meant to be platforming them.
Mhm.
It's very much I'm
Yeah.
breaking down what they're saying and going like, yeah, this guy's fucking weird. We don't want to deal with that. But no, I get why people wouldn't want to deal with certain things. It can sometimes be very it's being aware that, yeah, if I'm covering Hassan, or if I'm not Hassan, excuse me, Sargon, if I'm covering uh some other rando racist, like, it's very much yeah, I recognize it's not gonna be for everybody. That's why I have the warnings up. That's why I break up streams into other things as well, like, so that it is a big tent approach, yes, but it's very much this is the community that I'm building so we can all learn. And if you don't want to learn like about certain things, that's also fine. Come in like an hour later or something, and we'll be doing a silly videos like paranormal paparazzi or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
from like I'm sounding defensive. That's not what I meant to be doing. But it's meant to be like there's a reason why I do a variety of things, because like I have only a certain amount of mental bandwidth to do. For example, I can only
I've
handle
Yeah.
so
had this
much
debate
rot.
on
I,
panel.
I,
I've had this. Oh, sorry, Christina. Go ahead.
no, I agree with Raptor. Like it's like, oh my god, that's why I like the fact that we're doing like this the leftist media, working class media, and also too once we expand, I'm gonna be contacting you guys so you guys can have your own shows because I feel like that's something that is missing on Twitch as well is that sense of camaraderie. Obviously because it just feels like we're all each other's competition. But I digress. But go ahead, Peacefire.
Oh no. I mean, like I've had this exact conversation on panels before about hate watching and the value it brings. And one of the things that people talked about is like there's a cathartic experience coming together as a community to watch this kind of stuff together, so that you feel like, wait a minute, I'm not the only one who knows how horrible and ridiculous this is. But on the flip
True.
side of that coin, the way I go about streaming is I'm sitting here being like, look, I want to make sure that everyone feels seen. So that means I need to go find content that includes everyone. And I want to make sure that even though I'm going to be talking about tough topics, that there's a balance. So even if I'm talking about genocide, we're going to come out of it with some incredible music you might have not heard, or some spoken word things like that. And I know that's not for everyone. You know how many times I hear people being like, I don't really like spoken word. And I was like, well, I don't think you've heard Aja Monet. But you know, like come over to my space and you'll see what I do. But when I started on this journey here on Twitch, my whole thing was let's build as many bridges as possible. You've all like you know you've seen my panels before, and I was trying to build bridges everywhere because we are stronger together. But I think the with the way things have been going lately, I think there's a lot of anger. I think a lot of people are pissed off with what is happening in America, and they don't know how to change it. And a lot of times they end up looking around them and then trying to take that anger or, you know, try to fight for a change by taking down those around. And I don't know how we get stronger if we burn down all the bridges. And so I haven't really been doing panels lately because I realized that, you know, I can catch strays being guilty by association when I'm just like, you
Uh,
know,
it's getting out of
I do
hand
not.
these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
And so
It's like,
I don't know. I was very hesitant about coming on here, but then when I heard the panel, I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I very much appreciate all of you in this space. I am community with all of you, and
I just
you
stay
know,
in my corner and lurk in everyone's, Twitch streams when everyone's like, "Aren't you streaming?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I like to peek in while I'm streaming too." Okay, we're watching content, so I have time to check in on everyone.
I'm also gonna push back here about the idea that like anger is inherently bad. Because I don't believe that anger is
I don't think
inherently
it's
bad.
bad. I think it's misdirected right now.
Yes, that's
Right? I
exactly what I was
Yes,
think
gonna say. That's exactly what I was saying.
it's
Anger
passionate.
gets shit done, but it can be misdirected if you're not careful. And
Right.
that is one thing that I want to emphasize. Anger gets shit done, but if you point it at like your allies or people that are adjacent to you, you're just misdirecting it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And then like again, going back to the whole debate broification of panels, I feel like that is one of the things that has infected us all. Is this idea that, oh, you got emotional, so you lost the argument, kind of thing. I don't understand how people can like interact with what's happening in Gaza or interact with what's happening, in the United States with the ice and everything. How do you do that and not get emotional? How do you remain stoic while people are suffering, right? Like I just don't understand that mindset at all.
Can I jump in there a little
Oh,
bit?
please.
Okay, so from my perspective, from my understanding, the reason why people are can be like stoic is because it doesn't personally affect them.
Mm.
Mhm.
This ties in especially to American viewers. I know I have a couple people from like in New Zealand and all that that watch, but this for especially American viewers is that if things don't personally affect you, you can just ignore it.
That's the conservative
This
way.
that's a conservative way, but this ties into the kind of the white culture of America, where so many people are affected by this suburban malaise. I often talk about it, where yeah, I got mine. I have my fucking 2-story house. I have my white picket fence. I have my 2.5 kids. Like, I'm in that same artificial environment and I'm not engaging with community. I'm not engaging with other people. I don't need to do any of that. And then you get defensive because suddenly you're being brought this other person's perspective who is being harmed by the system or who is being harmed by policies that you ended up voting for in some unofficial way. Like it creates a cognitive dissonance where they struggle with it and they eventually just go, you know what, I don't fuck with it. It's not me. I'm not dealing with it. You know, that's what I find a lot of, and that's not getting into the race, like the inherent racism, the inherent misogyny of anything. But this is like just the average Joe schmo. I have to work to make sure that I get my next paycheck because if I worry about anything else, it's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, I was dealing with the same situation this past year. My mom and I we cleaned houses, and we lost a lot of customers because she was just she's getting older, she needs to retire. I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I've been cleaning houses since I was 16. It's not what I want to do. It's not what I'm passionate about. I like doing this instead, and monetizing that instead. So like we almost got evicted because we were getting so behind. But luckily, my community, other people's community, reached out, helped out, and now we are ahead. We're just in time for the holidays, and not everyone is lucky. Not everyone is lucky, and plus also there's not enough resources to help people. Unfortunately, I mean, especially with what's been going on this last month or so. A lot of places are like we are overworked and understaffed, and we are not getting as much help we need to help other people. And I feel like doing like doing mutual aid, doing other things to help people. That's something that I'm very passionate about. It's like helping like other people. That's something that I always just felt. Not that it made me feel good, but like helping other people just does something deep down in here. And so it's just so sad that things have just gotten worse for so many people, but then the anger is misguided on who's to blame for why people's lives are not that great. I mean, people will blame immigrants. People will. I'm like, it's capitalism. It's the system that we have right now. Okay, like it's not someone who's no one's stealing your jobs. I mean, it's mostly just AI and automation and technology is changing, unfortunately. And so when
True.
people try to blame like the immigrant, I'm like, are you doing yard work? Are you painting? Are you house cleaning? Are you doing these jobs that these bosses are hiring these immigrants under the table because they know they can get away with it? Why are you not blaming them? You're blaming the workers.
Right.
You're not blaming the bosses.
Yeah.
The
This
logic.
kind of ties into what I'm saying, which is very
Yep.
much. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. I
Go
didn't
ahead.
interrupt you, Globus, or
Oh, no,
anybody
you're
else
good.
really. It's very much a hey, like this is why we need to build community. If you're not, so I'm gonna fucking quote my chat again. Soup, you're very much correct. If we only punch within arm's reach, we can only hit people right next to us, our neighbors, our allies.
Mhm.
Like the idea that we're blaming other workers for this failure, that we're blaming the people who are doing jobs that nobody else is willing to do, and not the
Mhm.
people who are hiring migrant workers or the people who are hiring people at lower wages. Like that leads to inherent inequality because a lot of it's going to be focused on women. It's going to be focused on people of color. It's going to be focused on women of color. Like that's where it's going to end, and then we don't build coalitions because of it, because we go like, well, I
Well, I
got
mean,
mine, fuck you. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm.
oh no. I was just going to add to your point. I mean, like it's a classic George Carlin bit, right? Where it's like if we're going to have a war on drugs, we should be going after the bankers who are laundering the money, right?
Yeah.
Not bombing every boat that's outside of Venezuela and saying that somehow,
Or Reagan.
uh, yeah,
Hello. I
right.
mean,
I
Reagan's the
love
reason why we had got crack in this country because of the fucking the Iran Contra affair. Like when people were like, "Wait, that also is tied into that," and I'm like, "Yeah," but we're not taught that.
Yeah,
And
which goes
that's
back to
why,
education.
yeah, one of the things, the fact that like Peacefire's point about like, you know, that I, for instance, might catch strays. I am a leftist who talks about AI. I catch all the strays. I do not care. Um, but I always bring it back to the framing when I'm talking about artificial intelligence. The same logic that they use to apply to, oh, the immigrants took our jobs. People are doing, well intentioned people are saying the AI took my job. None of that is the case. It's always the capitalists, it's always
yeah,
the
the
bosses.
bosses. The
Right.
bosses are the ones.
Yep.
So here's the issue I have. Oh, sorry, Globus. I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt your thought there.
I,
I was going
that,
to
that
say,
was it.
here's
Go
the
ahead.
issue. You know how much I appreciate you, and I come in and I love hearing your AI takes because oftentimes you're giving me more food for thought on it because I'm on that page where I'm like AI and capitalism just can't exist together. And as long as we have capitalism and we see AI, it could be a very powerful tool. It could be used for, medical breakthroughs. It could be used for a lot of things. But as long as capitalism is here, I don't want to see AI anywhere because I know it's going to be used to fuck us all over. and that's how I kind of feel
True.
about it. But
No,
Mm-hmm.
I
and
know you.
An
I
extra layer on that. I'm going to
yeah
jump in here real
no
quick on the
yeah
whole AI conversation. An extra layer on that is the environmental racism that comes with it.
mhm,
Building
Oh
up
my god.
AI centers in poor black neighborhoods, so it pollutes like their water sources and all that,
They're
is
doing that in my
also a
town too.
problem.
mhm,
Yeah, they're
Exactly.
doing that.
See,
Yeah.
They're do and I'm over here like, my community's not fighting against it. I'm like, it's the north side. They're like, we want to rebuild the north side, make it nice again. I'm like, okay, but putting an AI data center that's going to pollute that area that you want to, redo and make nice again is not going to help.
yeah, I joke about
Oh,
AI being useful for like jerking
Medical stuff.
off, but like, hon- but
is
honestly,
it?
I don't know. I'm just saying. All right.
Have you tried it?
You know how many ads you see online about fucking AI girlfriends or whatever. Okay.
Oh Lord.
But like AI has a place. Globus turned me around on this. AI has a place. It's just there needs to be safeguards in regards to it, both into like, oh, what is publicly accessible, and then what is private property, and then what is like environmental, like, what is the environmental regulations that need to be put in place. Like there's so much to it that needs to be like regulated
mhm,
because of capitalists.
mhm.
I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Mhm.
No.
So, but keep going. I've been yapping enough, so I needed a quick break.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought AI was gonna be like, oh, we use AI to early detect like cancer and use it for like good good things, but it's like nah, it's stupid slub about how they're using like the welfare queen trope to gain so much views on TikTok, and it's like that's waste. That's not what AI should be used in my opinion. Like it's not. No.
And I not to like we're talking about one thing on the panel, but I can only blame myself because I mentioned AI. It's both, right? Like that, and that's the important thing to understand. One of the things about the talking about framing, right? Like it serves the capitalists for people to divert their attention towards the where people will say the AI did this and the AI did that, as opposed to Elon Musk did this and Sam Altman did that and Mark Zuckerberg did this, right? Like that, the capital, the bosses did this, right? There is AI that is helping detect cancer. There is AI that is doing protein folding. There are AI is this broad term that covers all these diverse things, and everyone has their own idea about like what it is and what it does, and it's not real AI, and it's this and it's that. And this is why I do what I do, right? Like I am infinitely patient with anyone who comes in good faith and in trying to like explain and unthread this Gordian knot so that people can actually understand what it is that is going on. Is AI under capitalism a problem? Absolutely. Everything under capitalism is a problem because it serves capital, right? Like Twitch under capitalism is a problem. My PC under capitalism is a problem. They are varying degrees. They affect different groups in different locations in different ways. But the the idea, there are some people who think that if you are pro AI, the tools, then you are somehow an Elon Musk bootlicker, and I can emphatically state that that is not the case. My hope, and it might be a pipe dream, but every leftist has pipe dreams, right? Y'all want to
Mm.
overthrow capitalism. You think that it's going to proceed in a particular way in order to get to the downfall of capitalism. My pipe dream, my procedure is that I think AI is that thing that eventually, on the long enough timeline, the contradictions that exist between capitalism and artificial intelligence and the capitalist desire to create certain tools with artificial intelligence are going to create something that is just going to collapse under its own weight.
I agree
Well,
with that. Sorry, I didn't interrupt there.
Goes to the
no, go
bathroom,
ahead. I was
comes
going to
back,
push
says,
back.
"I
I
agree."
was going to push
No,
back a
I
little
was
bit.
listening. I can hear
It's
you.
like, tell me what you learned about AI in the bathroom there. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, like I agree with you, right? Because like the AI or LLMs fall under the same, at least for me, in the same sphere as automation. It is a great tool to have, but capitalists don't like new tools because it ruins like their idea of infinite expansion.
All right.
Which is where you start having that cross section of, yeah, you know
The
what,
bubble.
the bubble that's going to pop. Yes.
Yes,
All
can't
right.
wait.
Can I push back?
Yes.
Sorry.
Push away.
All right. Well, first of all, let's bring this back to, when you first reached out to me, Globus, about this panel, I thought you were going to try to unite us around the cultural myth that AI loves us. And it doesn't.
It loves our money, that's for
And it
sure.
most certainly doesn't. Now, in terms of pushing back a bit, you're right, right? Like, obviously you can blame your PC, you can blame this, you can blame that. Everything is terrible under capitalism. But not everything under capitalism has the potential of killing us and making discrimination and racism and everything a hell of a lot worse, especially when it's being trained on data that is heavily
Racist data.
flawed, that is
Yes.
heavily racist, that is heavily, right? And so, your PC, yeah, I can go into the PC and go find some racist shit on the internet, but I'm not going to be fed that shit from AI telling me, no, you asked me a question, here is your answer, and it leads to more discrimination. And so, yes, capitalism is at the root of all of our problems. Yeah, technology with capitalism, obviously, it's shitty. But when AI has the potential of like damaging people, excluding people, killing people, I'm sure the military is going to, well, you already see it in Palestine. They're using AI right now with the drones to kill Palestinians, and Israel is using that as marketing for selling it to other countries, right? And so it's a false equivalence, in my opinion. I mean, I know everything sucks under capitalism, but when we are talking about something that can literally kill you, it is not the same as pointing to why your computer got shittier under capitalism.
On that same issue,
hold
can I
on.
add to it? Can I add this point? Real quick?
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay, so we're going to, because like a tool is only going to be as useful as the people who made it, right? An example. One thing that I've recently run across in a lot of black spaces on like X and even on Blue Sky at some points, they did a better job of banning it, is the idea that now, trigger warning for folks, is that per capita, we all know how that's often used. Per capita, black people commit more CSAM or make more CSAM than white people do.
What?
Yeah, see, but it's because but the information that is being fed to the AI is already inherently flawed. It doesn't. It goes like, yeah, there are just more white people, so the percentage is lower than there are of black people. So black people, of course, commit more CSAM per capita. But that is because it is only a machine that is reading the information and not able to contextualize it.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry, go ahead, Christina.
No,
That's kind
I'm
of the big
just
thing
like,
that I was talking about. It's just the context of things.
I know, but it's also too like when people are like, oh, men of color commit. I'm like, no, they don't. I'm like, most true crime shows are about white folks who kill each other over life insurance. Stop with that fucking narrative about men of color committing the most crimes. I'm sorry. Again, stop. That is not true. I'm just tired of that narrative. I'm like,
No.
like, come on.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's the context, because all the LLM is doing is just reading the information back to you, right?
Yeah.
Which it's great for doing that, but it's just it's unable to create the context of what is going on there. Oh, why do like white men commit more colors? It can't actually think. It is just regurgitating the information and putting it in what is more or less is the most common way that it's been interpreted, what it can find on Google or whatever search engine is using, and then spitting back out information at you.
And so
I need to push back on
Please do.
Peacefire's point about the AI is somehow, or the, you know, all that. My PC, right? To look at my PC, I know that this PC contains various rare earth metals and other things that were mined in the global south, and that corporations did terrible things to people to extract those materials, and that it most likely was assembled in varying degrees by people who were definitely not paid enough, and that it probably poisoned their water in certain other countries in the global south, and so on and so forth. All the same critiques that you leveled against AI, I could absolutely level against my PC.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey,
Yeah.
well, well, let me just say that is a very fair point, Clovis. Right? Like, and one of the things I was going to say before you started that was to push back a little bit on what I'm saying, because sometimes a lot of people just try to break everything down into a binary, right? Good, bad, that's it, right? But when you look at chat and you see people in chat who rely on AI to help them in their daily lives, there are positive uses for AI. It's like I was saying with the medical field, AI could be used to do a lot of incredible things and create new breakthroughs and innovations. But as long as we are within the capitalist system, just like you are pointing to your PC and saying, well, this PC kills too. Well, the point isn't just to accept that everything kills everything and just move on. The
Oh
point is
no,
to push back on that, right?
yes.
100%. 100%. And that, I think, is the baseline, and that's really the underlying baseline to like my entire stream where I talk about AI is it the problem is capitalism, and we need to push back on it. It's everywhere, right? I think that AI can be used as a tool for people. Like, one of the critiques that I level against leftists on Twitch, for instance, is that they will say something like, you need to organize, and then walk the fuck away from that. As opposed to helping people understand, what does that mean? How do you do one of those? Etc. Etc. Some people do, have efforts in that regard, but I think that tools like ChatGPT, etc., etc., can be used to help someone. So one of the things, right? Like, I have to, if I want to know something that I don't know, right? Like, I am here with people, different backgrounds, etc. And if I want to know something, I have to humble my ego to be vulnerable, to ask a question and appear um ignorant of something, and then the possibility that I might get rejected, right? If I want to ask Raptor about something related to black radicalism or something, Raptor could say, I don't have time for you, liberal, and that kind of shit, and I just have to eat that. But a lot of people can't bridge that gap, because they're not comfortable, they're not confident, they're not whatever. The AI doesn't judge you. So when I go to ChatGPT, I can ask it questions. I know the computer isn't judging me, and it's going to provide me with answers. Now, do those answers vary depending on a variety of factors? Absolutely. But they can be a first step towards getting to the goals that you might want to get to.
That's where I was kind of going, where it's a good way to start the conversation, but it shouldn't be doing that mental load for you, that critical thinking for you.
100%.
It Like, if I'm going in and, for example, like, my boss has encouraged me to use Chat GPT. I for but not for like looking things up or to like take the mental load for me, but instead to rewrite like my notes on clients, because I struggle personally with writing things that are quote unquote objective, and
And
like that are not. I
you're
don't
back.
write judgmental shit, but like they're not non-judgmental. But like, so I don't use ChatGPT. I do use other tools. There's a delay now. In regards to like rewriting what I'm saying for that's to be objective. instead of like my personal viewpoint, because I recognize that's something that I struggle with, because my job is all about empathy.
Mhm.
Like, it's all about equity and empathy and helping build that community. So, like, as stated before, it is absolutely a tool that can be used, and that helps, that helps other people who are
I mean,
struggling with that.
well, I mean, the power it has for helping people with accessibility is there, right? There are a lot of people who benefit from it. But let's, if we took the example of, let's say, medical breakthroughs, for instance, if we were to look at research that is done, even the research we do is inherently racist by who we choose to bring into the data samples in medical research, right? And so a lot of times it'll just be like, oh, well, we ended up targeting one tiny demographic that was particularly of one race, for instance, or one gender. And we think that that kind of applies to everyone, right? And then we feed that data into ChatGPT, right? And so there are a lot of safeguards that aren't there right now.
True.
And I think where we're at is everyone's looking at this being like, oh my God, this powerful tool that can do everything. We need to just go as fast as we can without actually thinking about, wait a minute, there aren't the proper guardrails in place right now to prevent things from getting worse. And if you want to talk about democracy or uniting cultural myths with AI and no guardrails and the technocrats in the White House right now, you're going to find yourself in a situation where what could be a very powerful and useful tool that we should all want to embrace ends up being something that is stigmatized, that people will fear because of the damage that is done. And you already see that in your social media timelines. People are struggling to tell what is real anymore. And once we divorce ourselves from reality, we are living in this post-truth world. And so whatever benefits AI will bring about will be completely negated by all the negatives that it brought. And so that's kind of where I stand on it. And if the myth you want to go with is that AI benefits us all, by all means.
Some
I'm
pro
gonna jump in
level brought that
here.
back. Go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna spike the ball to Cosmopolitics because they have not said anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm very much like I just find the whole thing with like AI very amusing in the end because it's like, there are back in our day, we actually had to write our papers for, our essays and research papers and whatnot. But now, you know, students are using AI because they're not, we're not teaching the kids how to read or write anymore. And it's actually Republicans' fault, believe it or not, because they're actually in charge of the
Ooh,
education system in this country. So it's like it ain't liberal districts responsible. It's you motherfuckers. Anyway,
it's
but also
literally
too,
just
then
capitalism.
yeah, and then you have teachers using AI to grade papers, and it's like, well, that's not even any better either. I'm like, there's just so much waste in AI, but again, in the end, there could be some good use of it, but the problem is that no one's really taking the opportunity to use it for the good that it can do.
Yeah, do you agree that if we remove the capitalist incentive, that it's more ethical to use AI?
Probably,
Well, I think,
maybe. That's
I
something
mean, the other thing that
I still debate myself on that though.
I mean,
For
one
now.
thing that we didn't factor into the conversation enough, really, is the climate catastrophe that we are currently in, right? And the resources required. And so, I'm not, and I saw in chat people trying to equate this back to the internet, for instance, and I don't see it the same way. Right? Yes, it's a new technology that will change the way we live. I acknowledge that. I know that. I see that already, right? But in terms of the internet, even with the internet, yeah, eventually they put in guardrails along the way. And now we are at a point where we have lost the internet, right? And you have Larry Ellison and all of these technocrats buying up all the means of communication because they know when we come together and we start communicating with one another, we see the bullshit that has been fed to us, right? And so they don't want that. They want to keep us divided, keep us separated so that we don't
They
realize
had a
that, we are all being
message,
screwed by
she's
the same people.
crazy.
And
Came
so
on
I
over,
think one of the
call me
things I will point out is
maybe.
they saw what happened with the internet, and right now they are kind of applying this logic to it. It was the AI wasn't just given to the people to use as they want to see before, they were like, wait a minute, this is powerful. No. They're already jumping in. They're all in on it. They're ready to fire a lot of people and replace them with AI without actually taking the time to consider the guardrails that protect society from collapse. And forget society. Let's talk about planet. Right, our planet right now is struggling and suffering, and none of our leaders are taking it seriously. And as long as there are more profits to be made, well, okay, I don't care how much water we need, how much energy we need AI, right? And so that is these are it's a nuanced subject, because I'm not saying AI isn't powerful. It isn't. AI will change our lives, but we need to also put in perspective who will win this battle. Will it be a good for the people, or will it be a good for the corporations and the capitalists out there? And as it stands right now, I think we're losing that battle, but that's me.
I would agree that we are, but not because like it's a battle of good versus evil. It's a battle between who has the money, and who doesn't. Capitalists have way more money in regards to AI and want to remove workers, kind of tying back to our earlier topic, because they can just go, yeah, AI will do it for us. Or I guess LLMs will do it for us. Like, it's just one of those things where we rolled out, or this technology was rolled out, and when it first was, everyone kind of recognized that it was shit. Like Chat GPT, kind of ass, like when it first came out. Mm-hmm. But since they went all in on it, and what is it, one AI or whatever has several $1 trillion and just no oversight, it's led to many issues in regards to how LLMs or not racism, well, racism's evolved, but like how LLMs and all those tech companies are operating. Mm-hmm. But it's just a continuation of a problem that was already occurring in the early 2000s with the tech bubble that formed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just everything's just moving so fast that we can't. It's like, slow down. This is how the .com bubble happened. We gotta but more and more people are just clinging on to it and just going ham on it. And I will say this about they're bringing back Vine. No AI content whatsoever is allowed on there, and I'm like, I can say that with confidence. Awesome. I can't believe I'm saying that. Can't say, but also Jack Dorsey, the same guy who sold Twitter to Elon Musk, and now it's riddled with AI over there. But I feel like we need to do better when it comes to not having like AI slop on social media, like the stupid fucking food stamp videos that people were making with AI, or just rage baiting about, because it's like the amount of people they're like, see, I'm like, but that's not real. They're like, but it's happening though. I'm like, how? I'm like, that's not how this whole thing works though.
Yeah.
Every day is like I like the saying where it's like every day is the worst AI is going to be in the future, right? It is constantly improving. It's constantly learning, right? But ultimately, in terms of what you were just talking about, I feel like with social media, the next big social media will be the social media that is AI free, that people can get back to connecting with their friends and their families. You want $1 billion idea right now, go make a social media platform that will rid any AI from being in there, and you will find people flocking there because they do not want to. We already talked about Instagram being an escape from reality. Well, now we're like escape like on the nth level, where none of it's real, none of it can be even faked anymore. And so, and then when we start thinking about like the AI social media influencers, you're going to get, you have AI actresses right now that have agents,
singers,
everything.
Yes, they got agents quicker than I did. What the fuck?
Yeah. So it's Timberland.
It's how far away are we from having an AI Manchurian candidate?
Oh God.
Jesus.
That ain't gonna be.
But no, it's just one of the. Oh, good.
I'd rather have a cat. I'd rather have a cat or a dog for president at this point. I mean, they're mayors of certain towns.
True.
I've heard they do wonderful things.
Again, I think this ties into quite literally like just the idea there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, right? There can be ways that AI can be ethical. Are they currently implemented? Fuck no. Especially in terms of like environmental impacts, especially in concerns of the unfettered capitalism that we have here in the United States. Like that's not going to be in the end like an ethical consumption of AI or an ethical use of AI. We already see it right now. People are using it to lie. People are using it to cheat. People are using it to steal, especially from people of color. So it's going to be one of those things where, hey, once we finally hit the point of where like we are slightly further left than we are in the United States at all, and implement laws on like hate speech and shit, that we can probably use it more ethically than we are in the United States.
Yeah.
When we have like um protections against people's work. Hey, you have to hire a certain amount of people in regards to a certain amount of people compared to AI. More workers than AI workers. Like then it's more ethical to consume because especially under the systems we have now, like the idea that yeah you can just use AI and it replaces 5 workers because of whatever reason, um, is going to just harm people now more than anything. And
I
that's something
mean,
we
may I?
go ahead.
Sorry, no. Go ahead. Finish your thought. I was going
Oh,
to
it's
ask.
just it's just the more it's used now is going to harm people if not used in an ethical way, kind of like at my job. Hey, don't use if we find out using AI to lie on like healthcare stuff or using healthcare to decide or using AI to decide like, oh yeah, this event will be better. We're just gonna remove you. We're gonna remove you from this position. We'll find something else for you, or we'll fire you.
Yeah, I mean, we are, to add to your point, we are months away. Like, forget years away. We are months away from everyone on this panel no longer being on this panel. It's going to be Globus talking to Claude and ChatGPT and DeepSeek. Should we
Uh-oh.
ask ChatGPT
Uh-oh.
what they think about uniting cultural myths? That's where we're going because people aren't critically thinking anymore. They're relying on AI to give them the answers. And so,
That's the next big
we are
thing.
months away. Yeah, we are months away from why even bother having a panel. We can get a panel of, the AIs together because that is what is going to be shaping people's thinking because people are going to take the easy route and,
The
not
AI
have
bunch.
Because
Globus, do
people
we
are
have a timeline on when
lazy.
we are all being replaced here?
Yeah.
Is it like, are we safe for this stream or are we like hours away from you being like, wait a minute, I do AI. Why am I talking to people? I should be doing AI panels.
This ties to my earlier point about people are being lazy, and a lot of
I
it. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that again I tend to have a my own rosy view of the future, fully automated luxury gay space communism through AI. It has a lot to do with human authenticity and connection that exists in that space in some future state that I might not even live to see, even though I'm going to live forever. Um, I think I don't. While there is an AI streamer, and I'm not talking about like the AI Jesus or any of that, but there's Vidal987 who they started a streaming channel as like this is part of their project. And so there's an AI behind this VTuber avatar type thing. And they have been going on and they pull 7,000 concurrent. So they are not like a gimmick. They are not a flash in the pan. That's already a thing that's happening and a thing that could occur. That's not something that I want particularly, right? I'm fine with it existing and everything else, but like my purpose for having a panel is to make sure that I am getting um these diverse opinions that like people and like what really about 15 minutes ago I got to this point where here are 4 different people who have varied opinions about this subject matter. Some of them downright adamant about it, and we are all talking in a respectful way. We're not demeaning anyone else. We appreciate each other's opinion in this community that we have going on right now. And I think that that is the best thing to draw from all is that you can, to Peacefire's point from earlier, you can be under the tent as long as you do the respect and provide the same grace and space for everyone else that you would expect for yourself. And on that
100%.
note, I did say I was going to keep this to about 2 hours, so
Oh
I
shit!
think,
I just look at the time.
and that's what I love. That's what I love. Everyone who has been on a panel or a conversation with me just turns around and where did the time go? And that makes me so happy, right? That we can have this and its value and you had fun and we feel like we did something and at the same time just flew by and we could probably do another 2 hours. But we're gonna have to save that 2 hours for another time. Cosme, do you want to take us out with just who you are, where we can find you, etc.?
Yes, you can find me over here at twitch.tv/cosmopolitics and over at YouTube on This Space TV. And you can find a bunch of other creators. And you can find myself over on Movie Night Extravaganza. We're doing Noir Vember. We're doing noir films. And then next month, we're doing movies about movies. So, yeah, you can find me all over the place, all over social media, Cosmopolitics. Yeah, I keep a very chill environment. I'm like a mama bear. I protect my community. I don't like to fuck around when it comes to my community. I'm very protective of them, and I keep a very safe, chill space. You try to start shit. No, I don't tolerate that.
Raptor?
Hey, I'm Raptor Blue. You are you. You can find me at Raptor Blue on twitch.tv. It's RAPTR, blue like the color. We do watchication, we do gaming, we do some voice acting, we do occasionally just nerd shit. But every time we're coming from a black radical perspective. We live by the principles, the 10 principles of the Black Panther Party. If you don't know what that is, hey, you know what? I'll educate you. I don't mind. We do love having people to come in and chat about certain things because I always love having people to learn perspectives and then try to integrate it into my own knowledge if I need to. And then sometimes we just get angry at people on the internet. Because it's just dumb racism. Or in the last stream we did that's Rogication is Dispatch, in which I had many strong opinions about a game that is just a white savior complex. Hopefully we'll see you around.
Peacefire.
Well, yeah, I'm Peacefire. You can find me here on Twitch and nowhere else. Yeah, I'm not on any of the other social medias. This is the safest platform for me to speak up in, especially with my history in Egypt and getting in trouble there. And so, what brought me to streaming was speaking out against the genocide taking place and the misinformation in our mainstream media when it comes to Palestine. And I realize there's intersectionality in all of our struggles. So we talk about everything from Palestine to Sudan to the Congo to Haiti. And then when I feel the need to break up some of the heaviness, we find a lot of fun to have. Sometimes Anubis shows up on stream and guides you, gives you tips and tricks for the afterlife. Last I heard, he recommends you think about your footwear. The journey is long, and a lot of people don't think about footwear in the afterlife. And so we have a lot of fun like that. It's silly. We focus in a lot on arts, rehumanizing what mainstream media dehumanizes. And tomorrow, it's Trans Awareness Week, so I probably have to put together a segment for the trans community. But at the same time, I want to talk about intersectionality. And since COP30 is going on, or starting up this week, I think tomorrow, Friday night, we'll probably watch a fun documentary like Science Fair, which is something that goes back to what Raptor was talking about with education, where you have kids from all over the world that compete in a massive global science fair. And
I'm going to be there for
you
that
know,
one. I'm going to be there for that.
I very much think that we should be focused on that. It shouldn't be like, let's find these young kids so that we can sign them up to Meta and all these other companies. We should be looking for these innovations and coming together as a society and funding them, as opposed to leaving it to capitalism. That's me in a nutshell. Thank you, Globus, so much for having us here. Oh, wait, I'm not the one putting this panel on. Go ahead.
I am Globus_the_elder. You can find me here and also on YouTube and on Twitch or TikTok. I talk about AI, automation, robots, and future tech. And if you come in good faith, we can have discussions, and it's an educational stream and all that good stuff. You should follow all these people because they're some of my favorite people on this platform. Um, and I had a wonderful time, and I hope you did too. So, thank you all. Take care, and I'll talk to you all about setting up another one in which you can tell me why I'm right about AI. Au revoir.
I mean, like, yeah, all right, you take care. Appreciate you.